What's going on, everybody? So, some of you probably saw the test video, some of you probably haven't. But I kind of moved stuff around in here so I'm closer to the door, so it's a little bit cooler in here. We're going to be doing a little, I got Ace, I don't want to sweat to death while I'm at the bench. So, it's why the background's a little different. It's going to be that way for a while. Sorry about all that, but, But today we have Miguel from DevilDog.Games or Gamers. I could be wrong on that. I probably should have wrote it down, but that's how we roll here. Interesting guy. We're going to get to know him over the next hour, and here we go. How's it going, Miguel?
Hey, Josh. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you for even, it all looks like we're already getting some of the,
Oh, yeah. I see John Paul and Mopar. What's up, guys?
So, say your channel name, right? And then explain how you got that.
DevilDog.Games is my channel name. And that comes from my website, which is DevilDog.Games. So instead of .com, it's .games. And Devil Dog is a term used to refer to Marines, which was born, way back in, one of the wars. The Germans fighting the Marines thought that they were so ferocious that they called them Devil Dogs, Teufelhunden. So the name Devil Dog is a term to refer to a Marine. And I'm former military. I was in the Marine Corps back in the 90s, the early 90s. So Devil Dog has just been something that has stuck with me for a long time. So I created my website, and DevilDog.com wasn't available, but I'm a gamer. I play lots of games. So I went to DevilDog.Games, and just kind of a branding thing I do on my social media stuff. I always just use DevilDog.Games as a reference to the website. Marine Corps, hoorah!
I mean, that's really cool. I always. Oh, here we go. Here we go.
Oh, I was just going to show the website.
Yeah, no, that's fine. That's really. Oh, here we go. Let me get rid of that for you.
Okay, this is my website, DevilDog.Games, and I kind of highlight some of the games that I play, Tarkov and DayZ, and some. I like first-person shooter games. I'm a game dev. I do game dev with the Unreal Engine, and then I have my modeling section. And so, this is where I'll put pictures of my models and such, and I'll have like galleries of some of the stuff that I've built. Some of my highlight videos I like to show of like things I'm working on. And there's a video I posted of my little stash. This is something I did a long time ago, but it's where I keep things. And then up at the top, I have a couple links for. One is a Pro Mod chassis blueprint. This is something that I do. I scratch build tube chassis for Pro Mod cars, and this is just the template that I use. I print this out, and that's really handy. And the other link that I have up there is for a chassis jig. And chassis jig is something I modeled in Blender. It's a 3D modeling software. I created this chassis jig so that you can print it out. You can assemble it. This is what it looks like assembled. And then this is a side view. You can kind of see how the rails will slide up and down on the main frame. And then in use, it would look something like this. You would assemble a chassis up on top of the jig.
Oh, that's what that was the other day. Okay.
Yep.
Oh, okay. That's really cool.
Yeah, so DevilDog.Games is it's my website, and so I use that everywhere I go.
So which do you prefer to do the most? And let's back up here. The games or the modeling?
I go through phases. Over the years, I've I've had years where, well, I went through a 13-year stretch where I didn't touch modeling, and that, that was for another issue. But even once I got back into modeling, I'll go through phases where for a couple years I'll be real heavily into modeling, and a couple years I'll be more heavily into game development. And I do both of them all the time. It's just a matter of how much time I spend doing each one. I have games that I have applications on the what do you call it? The Android marketplace. I have games on Steam. I don't know if anybody's a Steam gamer, but I have a game on Steam. It's called Echo 9, which is, I used to go by Echo 9 everywhere, and a lot of my gamer buddies still call me Echo. But yeah, so I do a little bit of both. I think modeling is probably more enjoyable for me because you see the results a lot sooner. I mean, you can build a model in a couple days. If you get really detailed and do a lot of scratch building, obviously it can drag out for weeks and months. And some things I don't finish for years just because I lose interest. But whereas with game dev, you're looking at months and months and months minimum to develop something that's useful and enjoyable.
Okay, so I'm going to ask how's the learning curve on making games? Is it something that's really easy to pick up, or is it like you want to pull your hair out?
I've been technology oriented my entire life. So for me, technology it's just something innate that I do. So for me, it's not that bad. But for somebody who is less computer literate, it probably will take you a little while. But that's one of the great things about the Unreal Engine, which is the engine that I develop in. It's designed for people who don't know code, who don't know how to program in code. They have a system called Blueprints, and it's basically these little modules, and you just plug them into each other, and it's very easy to get a game up and running really quickly. Now, polishing it and working out, mechanics and bugs and things, that could take a while. But that's the nature of software development.
No, that's really cool, and I think I know this is for me, right?
Mm-hmm.
But modeling in video games kind of like you see something in a game, now you're going to go build it. You know what I mean? Like,
yep.
Or I see something on a model bench, I'm going to go try to see if I can replicate that in a game. You know what I mean? Like,
yep.
It kind of like you see a lot of modelers and they're gamers also.
Yep.
Too.
Yeah, absolutely.
They may not be playing, some of them may not have like a PS5 or a computer game, but they got it on their phone or I mean, it's just crazy what technology has done, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so let's switch to the modeling side. What do you mostly like to build?
I've always had an interest in motorsports. So I like race cars. I like cars that are purpose built for racing, and mostly because of the technology and the development involved in building those race cars. I love the idea that somebody had to sit there and really think about the placement of various mechanical structures and like the whole four-link system in a drag car is just insane. The technology behind it and understanding of how doing moving certain things will affect the performance of a race car. I just love that kind of stuff. So for me, race cars is where it's at. I don't build a lot of them, which is kind of ironic because that's where the peak of my interest is. But yeah, it's a lot of fun.
So when did you first start modeling?
Well, I think when I was a kid, I got a Bronco model for Christmas one year. It was a white, like 1980 Bronco or something like that. I got it for Christmas, and I was just like 8 years old at the time, so I had to pester my mom to help me build it. and that was probably when I first got interested in modeling. But I didn't start building my own models until probably when I was in my early teens, 14ish, 12 to 14ish, something like that. And then when I got out of high school and joined the military and I was married, that's when I had a paycheck, I had a wallet with money in it, and I could go buy whatever models I wanted. And that's when I really started getting into it. So I would say probably my early 20s, which would have been like, 92, 93ish.
Okay. No, that's really cool, and it's really cool that you've served in the military too. Uh, so what do you do for work?
I'm a unified communications engineer. So I work for a global marketing company. It's a holding company, and they own marketing agencies around the world. And I work for the organization in that company that provides all of the architecture and the back end for all of their communications. So email, voicemail, text messaging, telephony, anything phone or communication related. I support that.
And does that job help you in the modeling at all, or is it kind of like the de-stressor after work?
Um, I don't. I'm not sure that I. I'm not sure that I could draw any parallels other than patience and um, yeah, I would say patience for sure, because when you're in the IT field and you're dealing with users, um, one, they don't tell you the truth. They don't tell you everything. They and sometimes they don't know the truth or don't understand what's actually going on, so they can't really help you figure out what the problem is. You kind of have to be very patient with them and with whatever it is you're working on, and work through it, and I think that translates into model building very well, because there's times when I've just wanted to smash a pile of styrene, and you just have to work through it.
No, and that's a good point, because I know for me, I use this hobby to de-stress.
Yep.
So, because most of the time, like I'm just a production worker. I'm just, I do this a lot, you know,
Right.
and after a hard week, I don't want to really do anything. It's nice to just sit somewhere and kind of be productive, right?
Yep.
So, do you have one of the chassis in front of you?
I actually have a couple different things that I've worked on. This is my current project, and I'll show you this here.
Okay, let's get you on the screen. Here we go. And I'm not gonna lie, this is really impressive. I really love how these work.
I'm gonna change my focus here. So this is a chassis that I'm working on right now. I stream quite a bit of the build, and I've streamed probably, I would say, 90 to 95% of the build on this. So this is a chassis that I built straight from that template that I showed earlier. You can see I've added the 4-link mounts back there. This is almost ready for paint. I'm getting ready to paint this. I've got the driver compartment in there. I've got the trans tunnel, and the drive shaft loops are in there. My firewall is all ready to go, and this is
And
probably 10 to 12 hours worth of fun.
yes, actually, I can. Sorry.
What's that? Can you?
Dad's
Oh,
being
yeah.
wacky again.
And then this was the first one I built, like just the week prior to me starting the other one. I started building this one because I want to take a G body NASCAR, an old 1981 or 83 G body, and turn it into a drag car. So I started playing. This is the first one I ever built, and goes in here. So this is going to be a drag car eventually, but you can see it's an old NASCAR.
Yeah.
And this is what got me interested in doing the tube chassis, Well, I was building that on stream, and somebody made a comment, something to the effect, that I should do something like that, and a lot of people may know NYS Modeling, who's a YouTuber and an Instagram guy that does a lot of modeling stuff. That does some really great videos. Well, he hosts an annual group build, and it's a Pro Street group build. So, based on his rules, I decided I would go ahead and start working on the tube chassis. But because you have to start from scratch in the group builds, I couldn't use the one that I had been working on, so I had to start a new one. And this is the body that it's going under.
So is that group build still going, or is it?
I believe it goes through until the end of the month.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
I mean, so when you print out that diagram off your web page, right?
Uh-huh.
Like when you print it out, are you able to like take the styrene tube and actually put it on the drawing and make it like kind of come to life that way, or you just got it figured out from scratch?
Absolutely. Like I said, I print out the little template. I lay it flat on my workbench, and I just start cutting tubes, and I lay the tube down on the line where it's supposed to be, and then I cut it to however long it's supposed to be, and then I cut the associated bar over here, and then this one here, and then this one here, and then I start putting it together like a bunch of puzzles pieces.
No, I mean, I saw that the other day when you were. It might have been your stream or maybe the S.
It's probably John's Hangout.
Yeah, probably John's Hangout. And I thought that was so cool looking because you have several of those in front of you for different cars.
Yeah,
like it's crazy.
So this is just different iterations of me using the template. And here, I'll even show you. Like if I take one of these, I literally, I guess it goes this way. I literally just lay the parts up on the paper, and I start gluing them together.
That's so good, dude. That was really impressive.
And you can see I've got a mountain of styrene here. This is all this is styrene square tube or square rod. This is all my styrene round rod. So I've got tons and tons of it, different sizes and shapes. And then I've got different profiles, so square tubes and I-beams and C-channel for various things, scratch building stuff, and a bunch of sheet. I've got probably about 5 pounds of styrene sheet there.
So how are you gluing that stuff together? Just super glue, styrene glue?
The only time I ever use super glue is if the parts are already painted. I use a mixture of Tamiya, the Tamiya extra thin,
okay,
and the Tamiya extra thin quick set. So I'll do half and half of the Tamiya extra thin and the extra thin quick set. I'll pour it back, I'll mix it up in so that I have 2 bottles of the half and half.
Oh, does it actually help set it quicker, or even with the mixing it with the other stuff?
I think it sets faster than if just using the straight extra thin. Using the quick set actually helps quite a bit. Yeah.
No,
I mean, it takes about 15 seconds before I can let go of the parts and they'll stay in place. And then usually when I'm using, because of the capillary action of the glue, when I'm gluing the parts onto the piece of paper, the glue will seep into the paper, and the paper actually helps hold it together. And so then once I'm done assembling whatever part I'm working on, I have to gently kind of separate it from the paper. And usually I'll just stick a X-Acto blade. I'll just kind of wedge the X-Acto blade under the part and just kind of separate it from the paper. And it doesn't tear the paper, but it definitely adheres to the paper. And I thought about using wax paper to do that, and maybe tracing over it or something. But I kind of like the way that it sticks to the paper, so I just kept doing what I'm doing.
Oh no, that's really really cool. I mean, some of the, and depending on the some of that wax paper, you can probably see that page through it, right?
Yeah, I think so. But the thing about the wax, the whole point of using the wax paper would be to prevent it from sticking to the surface. But I kind of like the way that it sticks because it helps hold the parts in place. As long as I've got them in the spot that I want them in, then that's perfect. So I decided just to not use it, and it works fine.
So if you were going to tell someone, or someone asked you, like they got the page printed out, what would be the biggest piece of advice you'd give them to starting?
Well, planning, thinking ahead. The biggest mistakes I make are forgetting to do things in the right order, because a lot of times if you glue something before something else, you'll get in your own way. And so I've done that quite a bit. You'll either have to work around the parts that are in there, or you'll have to separate a part so that you can get another part in. That's probably the mistake that I make the most, is just not planning ahead.
So you're meaning about the cross members and stuff, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And then we're able to go on your website and print out that page, right?
Yep.
No, that's really cool.
There's a link to the STL file, which is anybody who prints 3D, has a 3D printer, knows what an STL file. It's the file used in 3D printers. But the file for the jig is up there, and then the image file for the template is also there. You can just download it and you can save it to your computer, and then you can print it out. And the thing about having it in an image file is you can scale it up and down however you want, so that you can use it on various, different models.
Oh, so you could go to like 1/6, what is it, 1/32?
Not just that, but like the wheel, dimensions are not going to be identical on every car. So if you need it to be just a few millimeters longer, you can make it a little bit longer in an image editing software like GIMP or Photoshop or Microsoft Paint or whatever you're going to use. You can edit the image to make it a little bit longer or a little bit wider or whatever you need to do, and then print it out and use it on whatever project you're working on.
Have you tried to, since you said STL file, have you tried printing one of those out yet on a 3D printer?
I haven't. I have an old, an FDM printer, and the resolution on it is terrible, so I haven't touched it in years. I'm in the process of selecting, and I think I know which one I'm going to go with, but I'm in the process of selecting a resin printer, and I'm going to start printing parts in resin. I don't think I'm going to go down the FDM route because I just don't plan on printing that much. But with resin, I can get the finer detail, and the parts that I'm going to be printing are small enough that I don't need a huge print bed. But I want to do like wheels, and I want to do engine parts like blowers and headers. I want to try to do headers and things like that. So I think that'll be useful.
Yeah, the resin stuff. Yeah, the Dominic from Styrene Syndicate, he's building all kinds of stuff with the 3D printer. It's absolutely crazy. He's on a completely different level with all that stuff.
Yeah, I want to learn 3D modeling more than I do now. I use a program called Blender for 3D modeling, and I can navigate it. I do all right, but I'm not a pro. I'm definitely a novice at it, and I'd like to get a lot better so that I can generate some of the part files, those STL files that I want to use to print the parts that I need.
Yeah, and it's crazy just what, like, your imagination to paper or to program, then it's crazy what some of these guys are able to do just on the car side,
right?
Figure paintings still way out in front. Figures are like leading.
And if you've got a 3D printer, the software, the Blender, the 3D modeling software is free. and you can pay $30 for a kilogram of resin and print 1,000 parts, or you can pay $30 for a little aluminum set of wheels for a drag car. You know what I mean? So by making the model file for the same cost, I can build 100 of those parts out of resin, and it'll turn out just fine.
Yeah, I like the FDM stuff. I've pretty much gotten that figured out. Now I'm trying to figure out the resin side, and it's not as easy, but I've also only had one jar of resin. So I had to ask a bunch of people some questions, and then I was kind of starting to figure out, and then I ran out of resin. So, and I switched jobs way too much this summer to, I haven't been able to buy any more.
Right. Yeah, I understand that.
Oh yeah, dude. Like I so took advantage of the fact that there's not many people working, and I've switched jobs a couple times. I don't recommend it. I don't recommend it if you have bills, but
Yeah. Always trying to climb, always trying to move up in the world.
Wasn't about climb. It was about getting away from a place that basically I was just a warm heartbeat.
Oh yeah.
That's
a challenge for sure.
I mean, like literally, if like I got hurt, I'd be replaced in 20 minutes if there was a person, like.
Well, and the problem in those scenarios is that because you're just a heartbeat, they don't care about you. They don't put any effort into employee retention. They don't care about compensation. So your pay is not great. Your benefits are terrible if you even have them. I mean, it's just, you got to try to find your way into scenarios where the company employs appreciates the employees.
Yeah, no, and I'm still like a production worker. Don't get me wrong. I love being a production worker, but now I'm in a place that, I mean, I'm working with 20-year-olds again, but it's part of the gig, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Well, the advantage you have being mature in that scenario is that the young kids, they're going to be out the door in a year and a half, 2 years. They don't hang on to those jobs.
Yeah, we could talk more about that offline. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
when you're just a number, right?
Yeah. So what's some of your favorite tools?
Actually, my files. I went to Lowe's. I don't know if any of you have Lowe's where you are, but Lowe's is like a Home Depot kind of a place, and it's owned by, I think, Kmart, or I'm sorry, Walmart. I think the same company owns Lowe's. And I spent like $5 on this little set of files. They're just like, what do you call these, needle files? These just tiny little files, and this is the best tool I've ever had in modeling.
Oh, yeah.
I've had tons of the really cheap ones you can get at the hobby stores. They put them in a little bucket right at the cash register, and they're like, $2 each or whatever. But they're dull. They don't file very well, and they just have not been ever really great to use. And as soon as I paid the $5 for this little set of files at Lowe's, my world has changed. I tell you, I use less sandpaper because I can get exactly what I need with these little files, and I'll tell you, that's a lifesaver. And it's like it comes in a set of, it comes all the typical ones. You get a round one, a triangle shaped one, a square one. You get one that's got like a flat edge on one side and a round, and it's kind of like beveled on the other side. Is that called a bevel, or rounded on the other side?
Rounded, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, you get the typical selection.
So I have the Walmart set. So you basically have that flat one, the one that comes, it looks like a dagger kind of look, but it's rounded on the top.
Yep.
And then it's like a round rod.
Yep.
The one there's only 3, but it's so worth it.
Well, and this one's got the square one, so it's got like, it's kind of like the round one, but it's square instead of. Here, let me turn this off here.
Oh
You can
yeah.
see it's square, but I use this one to get into tiny little places and get if I need to get a flat edge in a small pocket somewhere. It works perfectly. I love those files.
So how are you cutting the styrene?
I just use this standard. Well, if I'm precision cutting, I use an X-Acto blade. But when I'm just trying to get a length so that I can get close, I just use a normal set of Tamiya cutters or whatever hobby store
Oh,
cutters
okay.
I find. And then when I want to get it exactly, the exact dimension, then I use an X-Acto blade, and I just blade on the tube, and then gently roll it as you put pressure on the blade, and it'll cut it right through it like butter, as long as you've got a sharp knife. You don't have to like press really hard. You just literally just roll it right across, and it'll come right through.
No, that's really really cool. Everybody seems to have their own technique when cutting styrene. So it's either razor saw, number 11 blade. Everybody seems to, and that's cool.
Yep, and I always have two X-Acto knives ready. I have one with just a straight, a straight sharp blade, and then I have the one with the rounded edge, and this is the one that I kind of roll across the styrene to get my cut the way that I need. And I'll start the styrene. Let me grab a piece. So I'll grab another piece. So I'll kind of start like this, and then just roll the knife across the blade as I roll the styrene across the surface, and it'll cut right through it. It's super easy.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy once you kind of like the first couple times. It's kind of weird, and you're not sure if you're going to cut yourself. But once you kind of get the hang of it, it's like bam, 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 right?
Yeah, my problem is that I will not cut it straight, or I won't cut it straight. I'll cut it at an angle, and so then I got to cut it again, and then I got to cut it again, and then the part ends up being too short, so I have to start over.
Oh yeah, I think everybody kind of has that problem at times, right?
Yeah.
So you seem to be really really good at the paint jobs on some of those cars. How are you doing it? Rattle can, airbrush?
Well, I appreciate that comment because I don't feel that way. I feel like my paint jobs have been terrible. I mean, I do the best I can, but it's all rattle can. Everything I've done up to this point has been rattle can. I bought an airbrush and a compressor, and I have started using them in the past year. I've started just occasionally using them to do things, and I haven't, because my paint booth, I built this paint booth behind me. We can talk about that later, but it's full of stuff, and it's inconvenient for me to use it right now, so I don't airbrush much at all. Almost everything I do is rattle can, and I don't know if you can see in the paintbrush, I have like a bunch of rattle cans.
Yeah, no,
There's probably 30 cans of black, white primer, various colors and stuff, and so I use those. I use the little shorty Model Master color spray cans, and only recently have I started collecting paint to use, like splash paints and wicked paints and stuff, to start using the airbrush more. So I'll be getting into that here pretty soon.
Now, I will say this: the Wicked stuff is really awesome. Like,
yeah, their color selection is just amazing. I love some of the colors that they have.
I mean, everybody seems to have their own thing, but I mean, the Wicked stuff. Like, if you go back and look at the latest Batwing that I've done,
Mm-hmm.
that is in the blue sapphire, light blue, or the light sapphire.
Oh yeah,
brain fart. But I mean, it's really really easy to use. It's just getting the mixture right is the hard part.
Yeah.
Because you don't have to use much of their thinner if you do it right.
Yeah.
And I really, really love the Wicked stuff. I generally have no issues with the Wicked stuff whatsoever. The craft paint, completely different story. I probably just need to stop using that stuff. But it's
I don't know. I talk to a lot of people who use craft paint. Ernie uses craft paint. John Paul uses craft paint, and they do some really great work. Those guys. I see a lot of really great models turned out using craft paint. So I mean, everything has its application. Everything has a place where it shines, and I think craft paint can be used very well.
Well, I mean, the truck I just did, but I had to use a certain airbrush that I 100% knew how to shoot with.
Yeah.
And that, I mean, a Posh H is by far my best airbrush because you just kind of set it and you go.
Yeah. I've got just a little cheapy Neo for Iwata or Iwata Neo, whatever it's called, and it's done pretty well. It's probably not the most versatile airbrush. I want to get some nicer tools, but I'm just not there yet.
Yeah, see, now like right now till Monday, I think Badger's having their sale, their convention sale.
Yeah, you had the Badger guy on recently, and I watched that, and I went and looked, and at the time he mentioned it, or you mentioned it, one of the two of you mentioned the discount. I went and looked at the website, and I couldn't find it, and then I forgot about it. So
yeah, the last section of that is this weekend, I think. But I think the Badger 105 is like $68 or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's under 70, and that airbrush is generally about 90, I think, somewhere around there, depending on I can't remember all the but like the Sotar, it's over $100, and I think it's under $100 in the sale. And that airbrush, like, I can't say enough good things about that one.
Yeah, I need to collect a few more versatile airbrushes. I need something for a wider, like a fan tip, and then one for more precise detailing. And so I don't know. I need to get busy with that because I know that's a place where I can really pick up my model building is in the paint work.
Well, I mean, like I said, you look at some of those pictures on the wall behind you, that green truck with the white top, that's really good looking.
That's Rattlecan. That's all Rattlecan.
I mean, I would not have thought that was Rattlecan. I'm just saying. I don't like Rattlecans because I'm not good with them. But
there's not even a clear on that. It's literally just the Rattlecan gloss coat. It's a Sublime Green by Model Masters.
Oh no, that's awesome. I'm not good with Rattlecan, so it ends up being like how do you say that? Like really bad kid art, at the end of the day, sometimes.
I think the problem most people have with Rattlecans is they go too thick because you have a tendency to want to get full coverage right away. And I even have that problem. So most of the paint jobs that I mess up using Rattlecans, it's because I'm not patient enough with it. I'm not willing to let it settle.
What was that? I'm using the portable airbrush from Micromart. Not the best, but it works for me. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I mean, use whatever you've got.
Yeah, no, that's really cool. I actually have the Micromart. I have that guy for my airbrush station.
Oh yeah, okay.
And it's like, it is really awesome. I had to put a hole in the wall to vent it out here. So yeah, but it works really, really great if the filter's not clogged up. But
yeah, Sarah Jane says she only uses Rattlecans, so I'm with that. She does. I mean, if you've seen some of her work, it's amazing.
I think Colin showed some. I think.
Yeah, he's featured a couple of her builds. She does
Yeah,
a great job.
it's really good.
Yeah. I built my own paintbrush. Or I'm sorry, paint booth out of MDF. I just bought a couple sheets of MDF and I built it. I don't know why I thought I was going to need this huge paint booth, but I built it's 3 feet wide by 2 feet high and 2 feet deep. And then I used a frame from an air conditioning, air duct work. You know, there's a filter frame that you can buy and the filter slides right in. So that's the frame you see in the back. I don't have a filter on it right now. And then I cut a hole in the back wall and I put an exhaust fan for like a bathroom ceiling. And then the exhaust fan ducts right out through using dryer duct right out the window next to it. So it works pretty well, but I need to buy a bigger, more powerful exhaust fan.
So like, just be careful. Don't blow up your house. Is right. Is
yeah.
With that, with some of that, even some of the aerosol stuff, right?
Yep.
Because I mean, it's really, really, really important you get the right fan back there.
Yeah. And I only use the paint booth for airbrush stuff. Any of the rattle can stuff I do, I take it outside and I paint it. And that has created a problem as well. I don't know if you saw one of my recent streams, or videos, but I took my chassis outside to prime it, and I forget how I was holding it, but I was holding it with something, and I was priming it. I was spraying it with primer, and I dropped it. And so I had finished priming it. It was full of primer. Every surface had primer on it. I dropped it. It bounced across the patio and off into the yard, where there's like cobwebs down in the grass. And I mean, it was just completely filled with grass specks and cobwebs and dirt. And oh man, it took me probably 2.5 hours to go sand every little bar and get the cobwebs or the dirt and the grime and stuff off of it. It's crazy.
Yeah. And I'm sure it was all kinds of 4-letter words.
Mm-hmm. I had to set it aside for like 2 days and come back to it because I was so upset about it. Did we lose you? You're frozen. Oh, there you're back.
I don't know what happened. It just, my internet kicked out. That's freaking weird.
Oh, you're back now.
But no, like, sorry, I totally lost track of what I was doing. I got distracted. Moving on. So whatever, Mopar. Go kick rocks. Internet, and that's the negative about the internet. You're gonna have times where it just does not want to cooperate. Okay.
Yeah, right. I was in the middle of a stream not too long ago, and my kids unplugged my router, and I didn't realize what was the problem. But I lost internet, and so I ended my stream, expectedly.
Well, and we're gonna talk about StreamYard for a minute, but like, StreamYard, it'll keep going.
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy. It's one of the things I'm kind of not okay with, but it's cool, like stuff like this.
Yeah.
And yeah, Rick, I'm gonna slap you. Not cool, Rick. But like, it'll just keep the stream going until you get back, and it's not irritating, but it's cool at the same time. But sometimes I wonder if that's not, luckily most of the time I've been able to get really, really back into it,
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you had lost your internet completely, I would sit here by myself and I would be entertaining your stream.
Yeah, no, it's yeah. And
we'll
that's
switch to some model building, everybody. Here, let me get my other camera going. We'll wait till Josh gets back.
Yeah, it's yeah. So we're about 45 minutes. Did you have any questions for me?
Well, actually, I was going to ask you earlier, and I never had a moment. But what are you working on right now? What's on your bench?
So over on the Styrene Syndicate, they're doing their sci-fi build. So I'm doing the Kazon? Yeah, Kazon Cruiser from the Voyager show.
Right.
I mean, I was gonna try to light this, but once I kind of started putting everything together, I don't think I'm gonna light this. I'm just gonna put it together.
Have you lit any of your other models?
No, this was gonna be, well, I was trying to do the Deep Space Nine on my channel a long time ago, and it just I couldn't get it to work. So I just scratched it, but I was gonna try to do this as a light build, and there's too much. The seams are just horrible in this. Like after I got all the lights and stuff in there, just trying to get it all packaged up and looking halfway decent, it's just not gonna work.
Right.
I mean, I got this. What is it? Where's the other one? The Marquis ship, 2 of the Voyager things, and the Star Trek Next Generation ship for like $20.
Wow.
Like I scored big on that, and I was like,
each one of those is worth more than that.
oh yeah, like those are like $25-$30 kits on just,
Yeah.
back when they were first released. And the guy was just trying to get out from underneath his stash, so he was like, just come get them. I was like, okay, I'll be there in a minute. Oh. No, it's
I know you were building some sort of a mech not too long ago. Did you finish that?
So no, I have not finished that. And it's one of those, like, I'm waiting. At Fallout Hobbies, I got some stencils on the way. I'm going to put the Punisher logo on some of the shields.
Oh, okay. Cool.
So it kind of, yeah.
Now
so I'm waiting for that to come in, and I want to.
Stencils, as far, when you say stencils, do you mean like something you can lay on the surface and then paint?
Yeah.
Are you going to airbrush that, or are you going to
plan is I'm going to try to airbrush that. I don't think I would try to brush paint that. I don't think it would look right. But, I'm still, I put that order in over a month ago, I think. And they're in the process of moving locations, which I just found out the other day. So I'm just still waiting on that. I've been working on, like, I printed all that out, that whole robot, and then I'll get it out here in a minute. I got to.
You 3D printed all of that?
Yeah, that's all 3D printed. It took me like 8 months or so to print all that out.
Wow.
Because I did one piece at a time. I mean, the printer, I mean, you can see it right here.
Yeah, I see it.
But I've not been able to print out multiple things on the print bed. It's just I've had luck at printing one thing at a time.
Right.
So that's how I've stayed with it.
Well, I know we in the Hangouts you probably see SDM Productions, or Rick. He does a lot of that kind of stuff where he'll print out an entire model. In fact, just recently I think he printed out something like 150 parts for a model, and it took him like 2 weeks to get all the parts, a week or two to get all the parts printed out. And I thought, well, that's going to be cool. We get to see him build this model that he just printed out. No, he printed it out so that he would have the kit, and now he's set it aside, and someday he'll build it. I was pretty disappointed by that. I wanted to see that.
Yeah, that's another guy I'd like to get on here too, because it's hard to get some of the 3D printing guys to come on and talk. And he seems like he'd be willing to. I just haven't been able to reach out to him yet.
Yeah, he's a really good one. He does a lot of 3D printing. He does resin printing and FDM printing, and And Russ over from RT Hobbyworks. He's another good one to talk to about the 3D printing stuff. Those two guys, really good.
No, yeah, I've been working on that for a while. I've also been trying to work on this guy.
Oh, cool.
I mean, I don't know if you can see that very well, but I mean, I've been trying to work on the skin tone lately. So
yeah, very cool.
I really like.
You printed that?
No, hell no. I wish. No, at some point, if I can ever get the resin printer to work, yes, I'm going to be printing out some stuff that's going to be. Oh, thank you. And tell him to hit me up on Facebook. You know what, Mopar? You need to just sit down and paint one. Don't say that. Just sit down and paint one. Everybody says that, and I mean, that's why I started with the I was using the craft paint, so I just used the craft paint to paint the figures. Mm-hmm. And I can show you some of them. They're really good. If you can figure out how to get the paint to blend and stuff,
right,
you can get some good results. And you don't have to do much. All it is, figure painting.
Yeah,
it's easy.
Do you do?
Wait,
yeah. Sorry, go ahead. I'll let you finish.
So a figure, all it is a base coat, a wash, a highlight, or dry brush, and then a highlight. Either one is okay. There's no rule on the second part, and that's it. You clear coat it, and you're done.
Yeah,
it's like, and then the more you go, you pick up more techniques on.
Oh, you just answered both of the questions I was going to interrupt you and ask. I was going to ask you if you do washes and if you do dry brushing for like highlights and shadows and stuff. So see, you answered that.
So yeah, it's cool. And see that I do that now in the interiors of the cars. So you get all those panel lines to kind of like pop.
Yeah.
And it's so much a difference inside the car. I mean, you're never going to see it because it's inside the car, but
you know it's there, and
yeah, it's.
I mean, generally we build for ourselves. So.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But you know, it's if you want the detail to come out, you have to dry brush, or do you have to do a highlight.
Well, like washes. I mean, like panel line and stuff in a model. You gotta highlight the details using washes and such.
so I do, and I've not reached out yet because I try to just plan out a month in advance.
So you definitely have to have Ernie on here. That's spunky. And if you've seen the semi that he did recently, my goodness, that thing is a masterpiece. And he used folk art paint.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I was just going to bring up the Nomad. The Nomad I think it's a 1/6 or 1/16.
16th scale, yeah.
Dude, that is impressive. Very impressive.
He's taken that vehicle to a whole nother level. I mean, he's doing things that I never even would have thought of. He's literally got the front seat on a rail system so that it's adjustable. It slides forward and backwards. The front seat in the car. That's the level of detail this guy has taken his models to. It's just insane. I can't say enough good things about his work.
Yeah, there's actually I'd love to get Mopar on here too, but it's getting him on here. I try to and thank you, Colin. I'm just gonna say that this week because me and you had a hard time connecting with emails. I don't know why. But
yeah, for sure.
Colin helped us out for sure this week.
Yeah. Well, I was on his stream and I was like, "Hey, does anybody have Josh's contact info?" And Colin was like, "Yeah, I have it. I'll email it to you after the stream." And so yeah, he definitely hooked us up.
Well, see, I even like on the YouTube thing, I even sent you my email address on there,
I didn't see it. I
and
wonder.
YouTube took it off because they thought it was spam.
Oh, okay.
So I was like, what the? Yeah! You know, it's like frustrating.
Well, we got it figured out.
Okay, so that's awesome, dude. And the time, like, I tried to do this on Saturday at 11, but if we have to do one like during the week on a day off, because I think he works weekends. I want to say he works weekends from what I've heard. I want to say he has a very unique schedule. So as long as we can work it out, and if I have to like even pre-record it or record it during the week, I'm so down. You know, I'm really, really flexible when it comes to that.
Hey, I wanted to ask you about your Darth Vader. What are your plans with that thing?
Leaving it the way it is.
You're not gonna like detail the little control panel on his chest or anything?
To be honest, I might. I just, most of the time, like I'm really bad about this. I like print something out, and then I'll even leave it in, like the Predator. The Predator had been printed out for like a year.
Oh yeah.
I just primed it probably 3 months ago, and then because I had to prime the mech, so I just primed all that with it. I'm
Right.
really bad about that.
That Darth Vader figure is a phenomenal. Did you have to print that out in multiple pieces?
Yeah, here. I'll grab this too. Let's set that right there. So you can, I don't know, the light's not very good over here, but so the cape is in two pieces.
Okay. Vertically or horizontally?
Vertically, yeah.
Okay. So left and right side.
So the arm, like there's actually this arm is all one piece. And the helmet, then you have the body. Okay. And then you have the belt buckle. The belt buckle, like, I don't know if it will show.
Yeah, it's hard to see.
It's because it's black on black over here.
Yeah. Oh, okay, yeah.
But this belt buckle right here, right?
Yep.
That's one little square piece.
Separate.
Okay. And then you have the I want to say the waist, this cape, all the way to like the kneecaps, if I remember right, or halfway down the leg. Halfway down the leg
right.
is one piece, and then each foot to this joint right here is one piece. Okay. And then I just printed out a circle for him to stand on.
Oh, that thing is really cool. I dig that you have the paintbrush as his lightsaber.
Well, I actually need to get in and try to repaint or reprogram the lightsaber, because I either have to slow it way down, or I have to change the dimension that it prints it out at. So it prints it out, because it doesn't look like a lightsaber. It looks like a lightsaber that's been, through a spaghetti strainer or something. It just
are you printing it horizontally or vertically?
Vertically.
Okay, yeah, I would assume that would be the better way. Yeah, Ernie is another one that 3D prints, and he's got some really good tips for printing using FDM printers and getting really good detail. So he's another one you might want to talk to. I know he mentioned like slowing down the print. I mean, quite a bit, and that seemed to help him get the detail that he needed in something that he was printing.
Well, yeah, and I mean the paintbrush works, so I've been actually trying to print out other stuff. I just haven't been able to get back to it.
Well, the paintbrush is entertaining. It's definitely makes it fun.
Yeah, I did the same thing with the Predator. I actually put a paintbrush in it, but this is actually a sculpting tool.
Oh, I see. Okay.
That's gonna be one of the next things
I need to get some of those.
Yeah, Hobby Lobby is my best friend for that.
I need to get some of those, and I need to get some clay because I want to be able to make 2-part molds so that I can resin cast some like tires and wheels and stuff. And I think using some kind of a clay will help me get that done.
Yeah, see, and then there's this guy. This guy, I know. I love how this guy turns out.
That's incredible.
But the only complaint I have is that the blades. I don't know if you can see that little bitty joint in there. Oh, where'd it go? Here. See that little?
Oh, yeah, I see it.
Breaks every time. Breaks every time you touch it.
Can you separate those and print them separately? Like maybe lay them flat on the surface to print separately or something?
No. It's not that. It's every time you bump them.
Oh.
Because it's such a little bitty gap.
Oh, okay. I thought the missing area was because the printer just wasn't printing that spot.
No, that's actually
it's actually meant to be that thin. Okay. Wow.
Well, last time I did this one. I did one of these for my mom. This one's actually supposed to be for my dad, but there's this big blade right here.
Uh-huh.
So I just cut it off like right about here. Oh, yeah, see? Stop touching it. And I just cut it right there and then stuck that into this little thing up here, and it looked like they were just enclosed.
Like he had retracted them?
Yeah.
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 Could you possibly reinforce it with like a little piece of brass rod or something?
I've tried, and it didn't really work all that well, but I'm still trying to get really, really better at that.
Okay.
Because, I mean, I had to do that with this figure because this is actually 2 pieces. The handle and the blade was 2 pieces, and then when I drilled it, I drilled a hole through his hand. So I had to go back through, and it's, some of the stuff that, I struggle with. Yeah, it's absolutely crazy.
Oh, it's impressive work. It looks good.
Yeah, Sanix 3D is where I got the files. I can't say too much about some of his current work, but some of the stuff like the Predator, Darth Vader, the Goro I did. I did a Spider-Man that was halfway decent. That Batman turned out really cool. That's his Justice League poses. Right now I'm trying to print out the Flash out of that group, but it is what it is.
Right.
And that's the kind of. Wait, what? Make it from real metal. Well, that.
Sure, Mopar. Good job.
It would work. I'm not going to say it wouldn't work. And I could do it because I did work for a steel company. I could do it.
You could get yourself some brass or something and then file it down and make it actual a little metal blade.
But here's the thing. It's all PLA plastic, so there's no weight to it. So as soon as you glued that all together and then stood him up, he'd try to keep leaning forward.
Yeah. I wouldn't want to have to deal with it anyway. I have enough problems just doing the sheet metal that I cut up for my chassis. I do like little aluminum panels for like the lining on the interior of the firewall of the mod chassis. And just working with that little thin aluminum is a pain in the ass. I wouldn't want to have to try to carve some blades.
Yeah, I mean it's kind of the same. It's like knife making, right?
Yeah. I have my little parts, all my interior parts from my little Pro Mod chassis.
Oh, are you? Is that you're actually building all that stuff too?
Yeah, yeah. I actually
Whoa,
make.
I
I
didn't know
take
that.
these monster drinks that I have. After I drink them, I cut the can, the top and the bottom off, and I lay the round, sheet, or I lay the round part, cut it, and then lay it out flat, and I use it to make what do you call it? I use it to make the metalwork. Here, I'll show you like the interior of the drag chassis.
Oh yeah. No, that's cool.
Oops, here,
No, that's really really cool.
here's another one. So I cut the panels out of aluminum, and I shape them, bend them, put the little rivet marks on them, and that'll
Okay,
be my interior.
how are you doing the rivet marks?
I have my wife. She sews. She can make clothes and all kinds of stuff with sewing machine. And one of the tools that tailors use is this little pattern. It's used for like tracing patterns on fabric and stuff. And I just see if I can get that to focus. You can see it's got like a little pattern on it on the wheel,
Ah,
and I just run it across the edge of the panel, of the little metal panel, and it creates here, I'll even show you.
do you have to put much force down on it?
No. Oh, so I got this panel, and then I laid the side. If I want the rivets to pop out this side, then I'll lay that face down, and then I just run the thing across it, and it gives me my little rivets.
Oh, look at you. That is absolutely creative right there. That's thinking outside the box.
Yeah, and then different fabricators in one-to-one cars, they'll do different things. And sometimes they'll do like cross patterns and and stuff. So sometimes I'll do that, sometimes I don't.
Oh, that's really really cool, dude. I like that. That's setting it to the next level. Jeez.
Yeah. So, and that's just aluminum from a monster can. You could use soda cans, beer cans, whatever your beverage of choice is.
Yeah, no, that's really really cool. I would have never thought about using pop cans and stuff. I have enough around here with my freaking habit.
Yeah, I saw you got a couple of those ready before the stream.
Oh yeah, like it's a problem. That's how I became 300 pounds. Now, how many times have you cut your fingers? That's a good question.
Lately, none. Fortunately, I don't. When I was early in my modeling, I would hold the model and I would use the knife and kind of carve it and try to cut things, and it's hard not to cut yourself when you're doing that. But nowadays, I don't do that at all. Very rarely do I use an X-Acto knife while I'm holding a part. I use the X-Acto blades for cutting tubes, styrene, stuff like that. But when if I need to separate, or not separate, if I need to shape styrene, I use Dremel. So I have like my Dremels parked right here next to my bench on a hook, and I've got this little extension with the little wand, and it's got a little chuck right here, so I can chuck all my blades in here, and then I can just carve and shape the plastic however I need to. And I've got all kinds of different bits, sanding bits and grinding bits and cutting bits, cutting wheels, whatever tool I happen to need. So instead of cutting my fingers, I get plastic in my eye.
Oh, I think that this is what he was talking about.
Oh, the aluminum cans. I cut it with scissors. I have just a pair of scissors that I just cut it.
And it doesn't leave a sharp edge at all? Really?
No.
Oh, that's cool.
No, works fine.
So yeah, I'm. Did you have any other questions for me?
No,
And you can ask me anything you want. I don't care.
no, I think we're good.
Because, I mean, I thought you were going to be like, is all them frames and stuff you come up with. I thought that was going to be just awesome on the show today. Thank you for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
It's been a great hour. And it seems like everybody else has liked what we've been talking about. I tried to keep up with the conversation. Yeah, but they're going on their own now. But yeah, thank you for coming on. I really have gotten to where I enjoy some of the videos your group's been doing.
Thanks for having me.
And then I will talk to you in a couple minutes. I'm going to end this, and I will see you in a few.
All right. Take care, everybody.
So that was Miguel, everybody. Yeah, like I said, he's got some really good skills there with the frames and the web page and all that. It's really, really cool what he's doing, and I thought he would be a great person to have on here. One of the other guys I want to try to get on here that hangs out with him is SDM Productions, I think is what it is. Rick. I'd love to get Mopar on here, but I just got to figure it out because he's not cool enough to have a Facebook page. And there's a bunch of new people I saw on the chat today. Thank you for watching. And I will see you down the road. I think next week is Too Tall Garage. Tyler from Midwest. He's been on the chat a couple times. He is supposed to be next week. So as long as he's not working, that we're going to make that happen. But I will see you guys. Get Michelle on here. Is that John? Is that the gal that's been on your stream lately? I'm sure that's who he's talking about. Okay. Yeah, I think I've got most of August figured out. I've got some of September figured out, but I haven't figured out October. I've only gotten one weekend in October figured out. So yeah, I've got to get a bunch of people on here. So hey John, shoot me her Facebook info, would you? I didn't realize she was on Facebook. I hadn't. Yeah, see you guys later. Okay.